Hey, Fabiano. Nice to have you on board already. Hello, friends. Thank you for joining me. Let me get my monitor up and running here. Come on, come on, come on. Okay, forgive me just a second. Let me restart my iPad here. Good evening. It's just a little bit after 9 o'clock here, so a little bit about nighttime painting. My wife is on a trip with a bunch of women, so I've got the house to myself. That's part of the reason why I'm painting so late. All right. I hope this will be a fairly short broadcast. It's going to be just the fuzz layer, which I'll say is one of the more peculiar of my layers. This layer has been in operation 2.5 years, not very long. In other words, a fairly recent development. I'm still evolving as an artist, as I hope you are too. And I stumbled on this one. Oh, you know what? No, it's been longer than that. It was a 4th of July. I remember it well. It was a 4th of July. I was painting on the main street, downtown Raleigh, my hometown, Raleigh, North Carolina, at a big festival, thousands of people. And I was doing a large painting, and I was painting the clothing on the people, and I thought, I think I just should do their clothing all real fuzzy. That's what I did, and a light bulb came on. Thus was born the fuzz layer. Let me define it for you. This is old hat for you regulars. Translucent color, okay? Let that sink in. Not transparent, not opaque, translucent. Opaque paint applied very thinly. Light paint, translucent. Very, very, very soft edges. And local color. So those are the three primary characteristics. Hello, Brenda S. Hello, Uncle. My brain is a fuzz layer. And I'm going to, okay, let me back up. Here's my photo reference that I'm doing today. Whoa, I got a strange thing happening. There's my photo reference. And there's my painting so far. So as you can see, I have intentionally done a pink, orange, yellow underpainting on the sky. The sky is going to be blue. And again, the rule of thumb is if there's a lot of sky in a painting, I'll do this. If there's just a little bit of sky, I typically do a blue underpainting, local color. But if there's a lot of sky, the thinking is, if there's a lot of sky, then the sky has to be interesting, more interesting, right? And so that's why a complementary underpainting is more interesting. But now it's time to start bluifying. Time to start making it blue. Every time, well, it's gotten a little better. But every time I do the fuzz layer, my heart is in my throat. Now, it's not so bad today because all of this is more or less dry. But when it's not dry, so in other words, everything I'm doing right now, I could wipe it off if I want to, but I don't have that luxury, of course, when I'm working on a wet, when I'm doing an alla prima painting. And I do the same thing. I do a fuzz layer in the alla prima layer. So my heart is in my throat because it looks forever much like I am just ruining the painting. let me pause just for a moment to show you what I mean. So I'm supposed to be painting sky, right? Pale blue sky. Look, some of those last strokes, that's a good 1.5 inches away from the sky. There's an inch away from the sky. Here, this little bit right here, that's at least 4 or 5 inches away from, well, 4 inches away from any sky. That's what I mean by soft edges. In other words, and again, this is a building here, as you can see, and the edge of the building is there, and I've got blue coming all the way down here. That's why it scares me to death, why my heart is in my throat every time I do it, because it looks like, same thing here. So there's a porch here, and we can see some of the sky through the porch. I mean, this right here is absolutely the antithesis of tongue painting, which would be thus. Get it? I know you can't see my tongue, but it was sticking up. This is the absolute antithesis of that. So I have gotten a little braver over the years. I've come to believe that I really am not ruining the painting as it certainly does look like I'm doing. Here's a really big explanation of why am I not just ruining the painting. Well, number one is because everything I'm doing is translucent. That's really important. Nothing opaque. You can see through, even though it's definitely blue, you can still see the edge of this building. You can still see this sign. You can still see the porch, okay? And even though it looks like I'm making a gigantic mess right now, when I come to what I call the final edit layer, which is opaque, hard edges, and definition. For many years, the final edit layer was in fact my final layer. If you follow me now, you know that I've evolved. I have, like, after final layer, I have broken color and sparkle, and very often, especially if I'm doing a studio painting, another complete glaze layer, and then another fuzz layer, and another, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, several. But in the olden days, the final edit layer was the final layer, but now it's not. The point being, once I graduate, and I'm using fairly large brushes, extra long filbert, numbers 10 probably, something like that. Well, they call that a 6. All right, good enough. I didn't quite finish that thought. When I come around to doing the final edit layer, which is opaque with hard edges, it's amazing how easy it is to give fresh definition. I mentioned earlier this porch. We could see the sky through this porch, and I just made a mess of it a few minutes ago. But it's amazing when I come back with a final edit layer and do a little bit of opaque sky blue, right there. Suddenly, boom, it comes into sharp focus again. In fact, it comes into sharp focus. That is so easy to do that it's, in fact, quite easy to overdo it. Let me talk again, kind of in broad painterly terms. Again, of course, nobody needs to copy me. If you do ever copy me, I can recommend do one, if you must, do one Dan Nelson painting, just for the exercise, just the way I did one, William Bouguereau painting years ago. One, but that was it. Never did another one, and probably never will. Although anyway, you see, the influence stuck with me. So that's, if you ever do a Dan Nelson style. one of the major reasons, for me anyway, doing this fuzz layer. For me, it brought me, I want to say, back into balance. But that's not quite the right expression. Number one, it made me keenly aware of hard, soft edges, what Richard Schmid calls edge control. It made me keenly aware of the ratio, the balance between hard and soft edges. This is all soft edges. And in years past, my paintings didn't have enough soft edges. My paintings had too many hard edges. That's part of the reason you hear me so often now passionately say that it's easy for painting to have too many hard edges, nearly impossible for a painting to have too many soft edges. That's because I am speaking, out of my own journey, my own school of hard knocks. I sure do wish I had learned that lesson 40 years ago. But then again, maybe I just wasn't ready to learn it 40 years ago. So there you go. I'm not going to cry over that too much. The thought crosses my mind, and that's the end of it. All right. I'm going to leave blue for a minute. Again, I'm looking at my reference quite a bit. This is nice. This is a small town about 35 miles from my home called Holly Springs. This is a commission piece. This is for a hospital. I mentioned all this earlier. I've changed this tree. I've made it much taller and much less thick in my painting. And I'm making the sun just a little bit lower. The lighting is quite nice here, but I'm making the sun just a little bit more yellow-orange, a little bit longer shadows. I think I'm trying to decide what to fuzz next. I think I'm going to do the face of this. It looks kind of like a church, but if my memory is correct, it's not a church. It's like a courthouse or a city community building of some kind. So I'm mixing up now a warm white or a very pale yellow. And again, this is the while we're at it, while we're at what? While we're at teaching painting, this is much easier to do with two hands than it would be with one. Because if I were doing it with one hand, it would be hard for me to be this loose, because I'd be thinking about what I'm doing. If you get the impression I'm painting faster than I can think, you are correct. That's exactly right. I am very definitely painting faster than I can think. Very good strategy. You should try it if you haven't already. And my mind can't quite keep up with two hands moving this quickly. So I'm a little less likely to get cold feet, to get nervous and slow down and get careful. And of course, the way that I'm holding the brushes, I don't want you to feel like it requires any particular skill, right? I'm just making sure, as you can see, not to do, a windshield wiper, motion, something like that. Anybody can do what I'm doing right now. I don't think requires a lot of practice or skill. I don't want you to be impressed. I'm doing a little bit of fuzz with a rag now, which is legal. there's a white car right there, which is fairly important, I think, in the, then I at the last minute the other day, I added a parked car right there, which I also feel is quite important. The sun hitting the road is you can see it in the photograph, in my opinion, is very important. Whoops, I just kicked you, I'm sorry. I am not going to use a rag. Let's use a, oh, there's a brush that needs cleaning. Let's use a large clean brush. You may ask me, does it ever irritate me now to paint with just my right hand? I'm right-handed. The answer is yes. That's why I don't want to dirty two brushes doing this. But yeah, I find myself, for some reason, if I paint with my right hand too much, yeah. Part of that is training. I have learned that if I'm painting with my left hand, I know this sounds weird, if I'm painting with my wrong hand, I'm probably painting well, skillfully, intuitively. If I'm painting with my right hand, I'm almost certainly painting accurately or more accurately, but often at the expense of spontaneity, and the marks are not quite as expressive. You guys are chatting up a storm over here. Thank you, Mellow Sushi. And Francisco Luna, you are very welcome. Oh, that's great. Just finished watching my last video. Excellent. Uncle, am I using medium? No, practically no. The answer is yes, a little bit, but for all practical purposes, no. Sometimes I use liquid, not because I want it transparent, because I don't, but I would like everything on the canvas to have a tiny bit of liquid in it. To me, it makes me a little more confident of the archival, long-lasting quality of the painting if I don't introduce too many wild and crazy ingredients into it. So I keep using the liquid over and over. I haven't decided what color to fuzz the side of this house. In the photograph, as you can see, the sun is on that side of the house. Yep, I just decided. Okay, good. Now, in the painting, I want this side of the house to be in shade. Okay, good. Thank you for helping me with that. Thank you very much. So I am going to do some fuzz on it in a minute, but it's going to be blue, a cool blue, ultramarine-ish blue. So that, and it's because I want my light here, not there. All right, and now I have a little bit more orangish color on my paint. Do a little bit more of that, even more red to the little bit of, so that you understand there's white. Everything that I'm doing is opaque and has at least some white in it, titanium white. Okay. There's a red roof back there. It's a very important element in the painting, in the scene. And down here in the foreground, there the sidewalk is brick, red brick. So a little bit of, all right, that's just about right. I'm gonna do a little bit more of this in the warm category before I switch back to blue. I was thinking the other day, I'm always thinking about how to teach, how to convey, how to communicate the painting process, how to communicate it better, how to convey it, and the mess that you're looking at right now. I mean, good golly. Does it not look like I have just like virtually ruined the entire painting? You know, or as I like to say, students, you know, or people come by, or students come by, look at my painting, they say, "Oh yeah, that's what I was going to do." like heck you were. Like this is what I did when I was in my 30s, right? Or 40s, or 50s. Nope, none of it. I'm doing some orange up here in the sky. Yeah, that's nice. Up here too. All right, I'm going to clean these brushes. I'm really liking these brushes, so I'm going to give them a good swish and a good brush, good rub. Now, back to titanium white and ultramarine. This blue, the sky blue, was phthalo blue. Generally speaking, just for what it's worth, usually I don't encourage people to take, so to speak, to take notes on colors. The reason is every good chef paints by smell and taste. Good cooks paint from cookbooks that chefs wrote, right? I don't want you to be a cook painter. I want you to be a chef painter. So every good painter paints by eyeball, not by recipe. That's why I don't encourage usually, but I'll give tips every once in a while. So here it is, just for what it's worth. Phthalo blue is usually a very good color for sky, good starting point for sky. So I'm breaking my rules by giving you a little recipe there. Beginners can use a little encouragement, a little cookbook, right? Maybe most chefs started out being cooks. I don't know. I'm going to do one more color in the fuzz layer before I quit, and that is green. I have a tree here and a tree here, and really another one coming in from the side. I'm not sure that one's going to survive the cut, but so I want to do a little bit of green. Ooh, I'll do a little bit of purple down here. One of the things that I do with this fuzz layer, and this has changed, it's changed the way I do my final edit. In the olden days, when I got to the final edit layer, one of the things I had to correct was I had to establish all local or realistic color. Because of my process, I do multiple layers, and many times I get through all those layers and there's some object, some part of the painting that's not the right color. I'm not unhappy about that because I've got a glorious underpainting, but sometimes the overpainting needs to be corrected. Anyway, that used to be done in the, if it needed to be done, if I needed to address any local color issue, I did it in the final edit. Now I do all those corrections here in the fuzz layer, and it's way more efficient because the fuzz layer, as you can see, I hope you can discern, this fuzz layer is very fast. Again, the size brushes I'm using, just to give you some idea, fairly large, extra long filberts in both cases. And as you can see, I'm moving very quickly, very sloppy, very careless, very fast. So the fuzz layer generally doesn't take a real long time, which, yes, means that this broadcast is going to be nice and brief. Since it's already 9:30 at night, that's quite appropriate. All right, now a little bit of green. Now, as you all know, repeat after me. Green is a dangerous color. Thank you, correct. Green is a very dangerous color. What do I mean by that? Especially for us landscape painters. Green is a dangerous color because it's nuclear, it's radioactive, it's aggressive, it's powerful, it's strong, it attacks, it comes forward. I'm convinced it has to do with the way our eyes are made, rods and cones, generally speaking. Rods see light and dark, and cones see color. But some colors bleed over into the cone function. I think that's what's happening with greens. There's chartreuse. A light chartreuse green is the brightest color that our eyes can see. Now that sounds so strange. You think, no. Pure white is the brightest color our eyes can see. You'd think so. Then if you had a perfectly controlled dimmer switch in a black room and had all these colors around you, I believe the last color to disappear in the room would actually be chartreuse, not white. All right. So it's easy to put greens in your landscape that are electric, that are too powerful. And the paint manufacturers go hog wild with their greens because they can. I've heard that the human eye can see more shades of green than any other color. That sounds right to me. And the paint manufacturers sell more colors of green than anything else, just about. Anyway, so you have to be really careful not to do too much green, not to do too intense of a green. So I'm certainly not gonna, I'm just doing a faintest hint of green. Yeah, just kissing it, just barely. I'm going to do some, again, this is the time to do color correction. So this band of trees that's here in the distance, as you can see right now, they're kind of a reddish brown. That's a beautiful color for underpainting green. But in the finished painting, I don't want it orange brown. I want those trees to be green with a reddish brown underpainting, of course. Mixing up just a little bit more. While we're at it, here's another rule for green. If you're painting a landscape and the landscape has many trees or bushes or grass in it, just a general rule of thumb, make every bush or every tree a different color green. So I just mixed up a different color just now for this bush here. One of the best practitioners of that principle, believe it or not, was Thomas Kincaid. I was looking at one of his paintings about 25 years ago that I first discovered that trick. I love saying good things about Thomas Kincaid because, as you know, all of us artists are supposed to hate him. So I'm just enough of a provocateur. I'm just enough of a SOB. And just enough just to say his name, just to get a rise out of you. We hate him because, of course, he made $1 gazillion and we didn't yet. And I say to everybody, as soon as you're a better painter than he was, you can start hating him. I haven't found one live. I mean, there are better painters, but they aren't my students. All right, I think I might be done painting. Anyway, the trick I learned from Thomas Kincaid 25 years ago, a hillside of trees, make all the trees a slightly different color green. That's putting it a little bit too bluntly, but that's the basic idea. Okay, I'm just gonna lift out. It's stuff that I want more intensely dark. That roof. Sorry, I need to do something with that roof. Why is messy painting better than neat painting? Is that a fair way to put it? Why is messy painting preferred over neat painting? Not everyone agrees with me, of course, because many people do extremely realistic paintings. Some of them are very famous, and some of them make a lot more money than I do. As you know, I have the ability to do extremely realistic paintings. Why don't I do it? Because I decided, by the way, I'm doing the roof of that building. I decided I want it a grayish color. I didn't want it quite as brown as it is right now. All right, let me jump to I'm trying to answer that question in a very brief manner. When you do a painting where the finished product, the finished painting, every stroke or every mark was planned by you, pre-planned and executed and finished by the artist, when you're finished, you have a painting that came out of the control mind of the artist. And such a painting can indeed be beautiful. In fact, I'd have to put, well, first of all of William Bouguereau's paintings in that category. I'd put the Mona Lisa in that category, I think. So, I'm taking on some pretty serious icons here by saying anything contrary to that statement. What could ever possess me to go against Michelangelo? Well, I mean, Da Vinci, sorry. Well, Rembrandt would make it go again, because he's in my camp. When you do a painting where everything's controlled, executed, finished to a T, the painting can never exceed the mind of the artist. Now, the mind of the artist can be unbelievably, amazingly genius, godlike, cosmic in its scope. Da Vinci, Mona Lisa. But when you do a painting where accidents were allowed to happen, you at least open the door to the possibility that the finished painting can exceed the mind of the artist. I've never said it exactly that way before. When you paint messy, you open the door to the possibility that the painting can go beyond you. One of my favorite words is transcendent. And even though the Mona Lisa is amazing and beautiful, there are a dozen Rembrandt paintings that I would say achieve a transcendence, a magic, a mystery that defies definition, explanation, logic, and so on. So that's just one way to put it. I could go on, but I won't. That's one crazy way to try to explain. Now, as you can imagine, as you well know, Uncle's probably already said it. Either that or he's thinking of saying it. When you paint messy, you also open the door to disaster. Let it be clearly said. Yes, I'm very aware of this and have suffered the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune on my canvases more than once. So it's a risk. It is a risk. This is a risky way to paint. If you're looking at this and saying, man, that's crazy, I never have the nerve to, you're paying attention. Thank you. the Lord save me from this, the early journey painters to say, oh yeah, that's what I was going to do. like heck you were. So that is a risk I'm willing to take. And as you know, I'm inside my donut of creativity with this kind of painting. I mean, I've experimented an awful lot before. So this is not like my first rodeo, you know. But that's just one way to try to describe. All right, I'm going to end here. I'm going to read your comments here in a minute. But let me talk about, if I do get a chance to paint tomorrow, where will I go from here? All of a sudden, I just realized I want to do a little bit more in the sky. Where will I go from here? This new, relatively new fuzz layer. Oh, and it's gotten a whole lot more fuzzy in recent years than it was several years ago. So it's my fuzz layer is growing, if you'll allow me to put it that way. There's a decent chance I will come back in here with either pencils, black pencils, you know, again, not a conventional approach at all. Or with some dark detail, and then I'll go to final edit, right? All right, but I realize there's just a few. Plus, I wanted to introduce some cooler blue into this sky. So I've got, yeah, that's nice. I've got a ultramarine. There's a little bit too much red showing through. I absolutely want the pink, orange, yellow underpainting to show through on the finished sky. Of course I do. But there's just a little bit too much of it, so I've just covered up some of it. All right, I think I'm going to stop there. So tomorrow, so as you can see, the other day when I was doing this painting, I explained after every single layer, whatever I do in that layer, there's too much of it at the end of that stage, right? So this stage, this fuzz layer is soft, fuzzy edges. Therefore, what do you know? At the end of this fuzz layer, my painting's too soft, right? So, do you get it? That's true with every single layer. When I did the pencils, at the end of that stage, way too much pencil. But look, where did it all go? You can still see it, but it's buried way down underneath. Anyway, so tomorrow, and again, just for those of you who maybe want to be influenced by me, this sets me up well. I'm like most of you, most painters, and most of us, hard edges come easy, soft edges not so much. That's why it's easy for painting to have too many hard edges, almost impossible for painting to have too many soft edges. And I fit that description perfectly. Therefore, now that I'm facing a canvas that is like, whoa, way too soft, that's actually, for me and most of you, is a real good setup. Because now, when I come in here with hard edges, I just need to be riding the brakes. Slow down, don't do too much. I need to be riding the brakes and really need to have my wits about me when I do some of the hard edge stuff, because I want more soft than hard. Why? Because the magic is not in the definition that comes out of my brain, the hard edges. Hard edge definition, synonymous terms in a sense right now. The magic, the transcendence, doesn't show up in the hard edges that I force you to look at. The magic comes up in the soft stuff where I let your mind do what it wants to do. Again, never said it that way before. That's a pretty good way to say it, if I say so myself. Okay, let me look at your great comments and call it a night. Actually, my day's not over. I'll probably go practice a little bit more. Some of you may have seen my picture of me sitting downtown last Sunday with my 54 or so instruments. Yeah, the day will come when I'll broadcast me playing when the right moment comes. All right. Yes, mellow sushi, I love it. Translucent intuition, very good. Jeff, or GF. No, this is oil. Thank you. Pink K Spy says, I request a why it's important for artists to make beautiful things to exist. Oh, don't poke me. Thank you. Guarantee. I hope you catch it. In fact, I was journaling that myself just 2 days ago, day before yesterday, walking on the beach with journaling on my phone in that case. And I was journaling that exact of beauty. Why beauty? What is beauty? Why beauty? Why modern art is so notoriously anti-beautiful? Whew. Right? Good question. Thank you, Pink Haze Spy. I look forward to doing that. Yes, Uncle. Absolutely, you can do fuzz layer in acrylics. Yes. Not an awful lot of glazing, because you want the paint kind of dry and fuzzy, opaque. No, I think acrylic fuzz would work just fine. Uncle 60, I found a new soap for cleanup. Ooh, on oil paints. Can use it on brushes. Worked great. Pine tar soap bars. Pine tar soap bars. I've got so many things over here to clean brushes with. I wonder if I already have one of those. Probably not. Right? It's not one of these. No. This is the Masters Artist soap. Yep. Okay. Thanks, Uncle. I will look for that. I might just order it online. I'm looking for your note. Pine tar soap bars. Good. I'm always looking for stuff like that. Brenda, good to have you on board again. No, the picture was not taken out the front window of my truck. I actually got out of my feet, on my feet, and walked around, ran around. All right, great to be with all you guys again. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you for those of you who are going to watch later. Please leave your comments, and tomorrow's a blur. Oh, and Saturday I'm painting a wedding, about a 2-hour drive from here, so hopefully I'll broadcast at least some of that. And if I hope to paint tomorrow if I get a chance at all, I'll broadcast. Okay, thanks for watching. Bye-bye.